Ame Bovee here. This is the Bovee podcast, the Sisters Edition. And next to me is my fabulous sister, Caitlin Bovee. I'm so happy to be sitting here with you today and sharing with our sisters at home. Caitlin is a business owner. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's a sister, she's a daughter, and just all around fabulous person.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this life with me as my sister.
Thanks, Ame. And of course, beside me is my sister, Ame Bovee, who is my wonderful older sister who has been an inspiration to me. She is an amazing woman who has led the Pilates industry in my area and in Michigan where she lives. She has her own Pilates brand and is a master teacher trainer. She's also an avid animal lover. She has a little hobby farm. I don't know how, it may be little. I don't know if you call it little. 22 chickens, that's not really little, but 3 goats, 2 horses, and really almost your entire life you've been connected to animals.
Nature and animals have always been like my home.
Yeah.
It's where I go for comfort, and it just feels natural for me to be there with animals and out in nature.
Yeah. She also has 3 dogs.
Yes, 3 dogs.
And lovely dogs.
Yeah, and we love watching, my husband and I love watching the natural animals in the area too. Like we have deer and turkey, and what did we see? We saw an eagle last week. We saw a coyote walked right through our yard. So
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I think you have a fish.
Yes. Let's just not go there.
Let's not go there. Okay. Well, so Caitlin, I was wondering if you would share how you got into Pilates, and maybe can I just tell a quick story before you tell your story?
Well, is the story? Yes.
Yes.
I don't know what she's going to say, so let's just say yes.
Okay, so you're my little sister. You were finishing up a degree at a university in Canada. Actually, it was a fairly prestigious program that not many Canadians get into. So I think like 60 spots available, and you're rather smart. And so you'd gotten into this specific program.
Yeah.
You were just finishing up, and I had started the studio in Guelph. And you were coming to visit me, and I had you on a reformer doing Eve's lunge, a stretch for your hip flexors. And I can remember that you stood up from that stretch and you said these exact words, that stretch just changed my life. And although you were referring to the fact that it made your hip flexor feel amazing, you didn't know that you were actually going to become a Pilates instructor.
It literally changed my life.
It literally changed your life. A master instructor and an industry leader.
Right.
So tell me, how would you share? Why did you get the spark to become a Pilates instructor?
Well, I'm going to take it back a little bit further of, my life. And I've talked about this and touched on it in some of these podcasts about my life physically would get changed. In my teens, I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. It literally had me as an athlete that was MVP of her sports teams. Sports was what I did to not be able to get out of my bed. And so that shifted my life significantly. And in that, I did a pivot. And I made the pivot, and what I had to do is figure out what my life was going to be, because it wasn't going to be the life I had imagined. And so, in that I started to do fitness. I started to do courses and read and research on personal training, on strength training, on how bodies move, because I had to literally rebuild my body that time. So we fast forward, I go away to university. I've had my plan. I have another plan of where I want to go. I'm focused and goal oriented. And then I'm starting to have trouble focusing in class. And what we found out is I was actually having TIAs, which are mini strokes. So I was having mini strokes, and I barely finished off my university degree because...
But you did.
I
which
did.
is actually kind of a testament to your grit.
Right. I did. But it was a little challenging. And again, I got oh my gosh, my life needs to be reevaluated. Yeah. And this is where we come into, I came and did some Pilates with you, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's changed my life. And I was like, I'm going to take a little break.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, help you out, get my instructor training, do that. And then just like the way I am, I didn't just do the instructor training.
You went all
I
in.
went all in, doing research, doing courses on post-rehabilitation and rehabilitation, because I had seen, what I had to do when I was a teenager. I was also still working on that when I was in university. And so I went all in, and then it's this weird thing, and I want to say it, is that I think of these things as all really fortunate events. Mm-hmm. Other people might look at them and be like, that was devastating. Mm-hmm. But I actually had a stroke. Mm-hmm. So I lost feeling on the right side of my body. And that, I was in my mid-20s. Yeah. Who in their mid-20s sits down in a hospital bed like, woohoo, great, I'm in a hospital bed and I can't move the right side of my body.
I remember visiting you, and I can picture you in the hospital bed. But you've always had such a great positive outlook and kind of solution-based thinking around all of this.
Right. And so this is where I go, okay, so this is where I'm at. What am I going to do with this? Yeah. And because of all of the courses, research, and the Pilates training I had been taking, I actually knew about neuromuscular development. Mm-hmm. So I remember sitting in that hospital bed, and I was looking at my hand, which I couldn't move, and I was saying, move baby finger. And you have a lot of time in the hospital when they don't really know what to do with you. Yeah. They're like, you're a 25-year-old or a 20 and you've had a stroke. And so I was there, and I would just work on that. And eventually my finger started to move, right? And that I did that for my entire body.
So you were essentially rehabilitating yourself.
From what I had learned, right? Yeah. And so that to me was like, oh, I'm all in. Yeah. And after that, I started to develop a program for stroke survivors, right? Yeah. And I did that for about 10 years because it became a passion to help people feel better in their body, not take that like this is all you get. Mm-hmm. Go beyond that. Yeah. Be able to maximize that.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. Partly because it gives hope and inspiration to others that may be going through some of the health challenges that they didn't plan on in their life, but know that they could take a proactive approach to finding solutions. But also, both you and I could tell so many stories of people that have been at our Pilates studios that have very similar cases to you, where they had some kind of medical thing happen to them, that maybe an autoimmune disease, maybe something else that changed the trajectory of their life. But rather than just like sit at home and woe is me they went searching for someone who could help them. And we may be their fifth or sixth stop, meaning they've gone to other modalities and other professionals for help, and it just didn't get them where they wanted to go. But then they bumped into, one of our studios, one of our teachers, and that was the shift that they really needed to change their life. Now, I'm not claiming that Pilates solves everything on the planet. There's certainly lots of things that we can't help with. But for the people where we do help, they just say, why didn't I try that sooner? And they become members for life, because once you've helped someone make such a life, empowering move, like being able to live with an autoimmune disease and thrive, right? Or deal with a chronic pain issue, or, whatever the case may be, they're all in because they're like, I want to share this with the world because this has been so transformative for me.
And it's really what drives me. When we talk about, in an earlier podcast, we talked about principles and how do you stay true to your principles.
Like, why do you do
what you do? Why do I do what I do is because of that, because it changed my life so much. And then I know all the people who I've helped. See, this is where I'm going to cry.
I like that. Yeah.
I've helped change their lives.
Yeah.
And then my teachers can help change even more people's lives.
That's right.
It is just so amazing to see the number of people who come up to me at the end of not even a session with me anymore because I don't have any spots left, but come up to me and just say, this teacher changed my life. I couldn't walk. Like, we had people who came in with 2 canes and 6 months later, they're out on holidays walking in Italy. Like, it is profound change that we create in people.
No, just staying within our scope of practice, we're not physical therapists. Totally. both Caitlin and I have amazing relationships with physical therapists in our community that we refer to.
Definitely.
But Pilates, especially well-taught, highly educated teachers, work beautifully alongside a physical therapist. So we have the education level to be able to take the information that's given to us from a medical professional and integrate that into how we're teaching in a really safe way. And we have a long-term relationship with our clients, which is really wonderful. And we're able to customize our approach to every single person that walks through the door. And honestly, that's one of the superpowers, I think, of the type of Pilates businesses we run is that we are not looking at people like cookie cutter. Yeah. We customize the approach with every single body that walks through the door.
Right. One of those things, right, is we don't fit the person to the exercise. We fit the exercise to the person.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. And it is that a lot of times what I hear is that the doctor or the physical therapist will say, well, this is as good as it gets. Yeah. And I don't believe that. And I really work with people to help them go beyond the as good as it gets because, again, I'm not willing to accept that.
The first Pilates teacher that I took Pilates with, she had been in a motor vehicle accident. She had fractured her pelvis, and the doctors had told her she'd never walk again. Well, guess what? She was walking around teaching me Pilates, and it was because she didn't take no for an answer.
Right.
She said, no, there's got to be more out there for me. She found a great teacher. They helped her, and then she's like, well, now I have to teach this to other people because without this, I wouldn't be walking right now. So there are such powerful stories, and that's literally why we get up every morning and we go to work and we support others and we continue our education is to bring that back to our communities and to share that because we know what an impact it can have.
Yeah. Thanks, Almay. This is...
Thank you for sharing that story. I know it takes being kind of vulnerable, but I really think it will have a big impact on other people's journey through difficult times in their life to know that there can be other solutions out there, whether it's Pilates or something else. Keep looking because miracles can happen.
Yes, they definitely can.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on the Bovee Podcast Sisters Edition. To learn more about us, our brands, and what we do, take a look at the link below in the comments.